Alright guys, so I did a video, I think I put out Friday, it was about me building a new computer and really how I'm focusing on 1080p gaming, and I still stand by that. There were some great comments, I appreciate the people who interacted. I wanted to follow up with something else that's kind of bothered me and put this out there. Now, one channel I'm going to say the name for, and it's on the Tubes of You, because apparently if you say the actual name of the platform, it gets your videos harder to find. But anyway, on that platform, there are two separate channels that I watch, and one I used to really like, and they've kind of fallen from grace for multiple controversies. And if you don't know them, I'd be glad to talk about them. But I'm going to say their name is Shyness Mech Hips, if you know what I mean, that channel. I don't put a lot of stock in them. I still watch the channel, but mainly I laugh at a lot of the inconsistencies and inaccuracies and a lot of stuff they push. That channel used to be really good at giving you great advice on hardware, computing, all of that. And then they just kind of swapped and have had some issues where I don't trust what they say anymore. Because they're pushing a lot of this have to have hardware to the average person that you don't need, which is one of those channels I think is feeding into people overbuying on hardware. And I've talked about that. When doing gaming rigs, people are overbuying on hardware. I don't think people realize how much they're overspending. And we're talking in magnitudes of thousands of dollars on hardware they're never going to touch. And I'm not even kidding. Be it overbuying on RAM or, overbuying on power supplies, maybe getting too much of a motherboard, all of those things, because PC gaming used to be about having a decent setup, and now we've got that enthusiast crowd in that it's like the Subaru car enthusiast crowd has now gotten to PC gaming, and it's like the louder their fans are, the faster the machine runs. It's really ridiculous. Or the more LEDs they can stuff in a case, the better their performance is, and it's just not the case. Just ridiculous things like that. There are people like that. If you have not picked through Reddit, have yourself a field day when you get some kid that argues that having 3 light up fans is going to be better. And no, they're not talking about having more fans. They're talking about the light up portion. But anyway, so I don't really trust that channel anymore. Now, one that I have been watching more recently and I recommend to you is Jay's 2 Cents. There is some sound advice there, and I feel like they're a little more grounded. They still advertise and stuff. They still do promotional content in their videos, but I feel like they're more grounded into giving you good advice on stuff. That's one channel of many that I watch, but I have had to shift out content that I'm watching because a lot of the channels that were good tech channels have just kind of dwindled and declined. They're not good anymore. And the Sinus Media Group, as I butcher their name, hopefully you guys are getting laughs out of this. The Sinus Media Group has really dwindled to just trying to sell you crap you don't need, and they're getting endorsed by so many big companies at this point that a lot of what they're saying, I think, is borderlining on lies. I'm not going to say they're straight out lying, because there is still some accuracy to what they're saying, but they're pushing these fear-mongering kind of things of if you don't have this hardware, you're going to be left behind, and that's just not the case. Look, I have been around for a while, and I have built 3 gaming rigs in my lifetime. I've been able to upgrade those to a point where I've had them for years. The next machine I'm running will be a 15 to 20 year machine. I know a lot of people are like, how is that possible? And it is fully possible to have a gaming rig that will require minor hardware updates, but will still be running games for that length of time. And I think people are focused in the wrong spot. There's a number of things that really drive me nuts with how we measure things. Like, again, it's been a while since I built a machine, but I'm trying to buy a GPU. I'm looking at specs, and I find all these people looking at dollar per frame measurements, which is going to leave you kind of short-sighted on what you actually need. If I was building a machine based off of dollar per frames, I'm going to completely lose out on some performance in some areas. So, my God, the PC gaming scene has really fallen apart. I will demo my rig once I get it built. Again, we're some time off here because I don't have the money, and I'm going to solicit donations. If you want to donate to the project for this and you want to see videos on that build, be my guest. I have a Linktree link in my bio. I'm not a pro account, so I don't have like the blue portion, but you can feel free to donate there. My budget at this point is $1,500, and that's overshooting what I'm going to need. But I plan on building that machine within the next 4 years. And as I've stated before, it's because Windows 10 will be no longer viable to me. I don't care to use an operating system that's going to become vulnerable because it's not getting updates anymore. I know some people do that. I will still use Windows 10 on lesser machines. My media server, for example, runs a copy of Windows 10 Home and it's done fine for a while. And the thing is, I say things like that, and I know there's people online that scoff at that. They're like, why are you running Windows 10 Home because some people think you need Pro on everything, and you don't. Even on this new build that I'm doing, I'm not running Windows 11 Pro. I'm going to run Windows 11 Home. I don't care about BitLocker encryption. And I'd be glad to explain why. This video is already getting longer. I try to keep this at 5 minutes, but if you want to know why I don't care about the BitLocker encryption, I'll be glad to answer that question, but I'm not going to get into it unless anybody specifically asks. And again, I do have an IT background, so I do know what I'm talking about. I have done computer repair, computer builds. I have done troubleshooting, all of that. I've been a bench technician, so I'm familiar with a lot of this. And I'm just really surprised to hear some of the things going around that people are listening to and overbuying on. So anyway, what are your thoughts, guys? If you have any comments to add, please feel free to. And please keep it peaceable. It's okay to disagree. I want to put that out there because I feel like some people have refrained from commenting because they're afraid I won't go in there for disagreeing. Feel free to disagree. I have no problem with that. Just don't be hateful. That's the main thing. For the people that are being hateful, that's what I don't want. I believe we can have open conversations on this without a problem, but don't be hateful. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching.